Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy A Michael, and in-person interview with the boys. Come
Hey,
on now, come
let's
on
go.
now. So we're gonna, me got some questions to ask. We're gonna get into it, get right into it. So, my first question, right? Ollie, you can start if you want. Ricardo, you start if you want. But the friendship, the boys' friendship, right? How did it all start?
Well, well, me and Michael met. We probably met in high school once or twice, but we didn't actually start talking until community college. And we had a class together and still didn't talk to each other then. We just had a class together.
Orientation, I
Yeah,
remember.
orientation class. Um, but then I was involved in the BCM on campus, and I was like, "Hey, man, you want to come out one day or something like that?" I think. And then you were just like, or you just showed up one day. I can't remember. I don't remember the start, but from there we had a guys Bible study,
Mhm.
and we just kind of were there. We had some long conversations and long nights in parking lots
Yeah.
because they'd kick us out of the museum because it would get too late.
That's right.
Uh,
Shout out to Preston
Right,
also.
right, yeah. Yeah, we like start. Yeah, we were. It was just us three in a room a lot of the time, but those were good times. And so that, and then we'd work out, and
The Ollie pose,
real quick, but yeah, we would do that, and then we just started hanging out outside of that, and and found out we had some common interests, and we're doing some ministry stuff together. So that's really where it started with me and Michael, and then Cardo came down to the barn one day.
Car.
I don't even remember how that all
I remember like it was yesterday.
really.
I do, yeah.
I just have a bad memory, I guess. I don't know. But I know I know we had some young adult stuff that we did, and then we just kind of hit it off, and we made a group chat,
Yeah.
and then from there it's
It started.
it's been wild. So we've been doing just hanging out, doing stuff together since then. And again, we found out we had common interests later, more like because it's all like church connected us, and then
Mhm.
and in the faith aspect of things, and then we were just like, oh, that pretty cool.
Yeah.
That pretty cool.
Pretty
Yeah,
swag.
that's that's what I remember. So, um, y'all can input on that or take away from that as you will.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sure I missed a few details in there.
Okay. Well, for me, I met both of you guys through the barn.
Right, right.
And for me, around that time, I was at the very beginning of my eventual divorce. So that was like very much still set in stone. And the headspace that I was in at that particular point in time was very raw, very intimate. Um, so I remember coming in because I came in with an ex brother kind of working on friendship uh person, which I'll leave their name be at the moment, but came in with them, praised and worship, and I remember connecting a lot with just how you were up there worshiping, praising. I was there with Michael, and Michael hit me with the uh was good. And I was like, first of all, sir, I am like 27. Why are you talking like you getting ready to retire? That's crazy. That's crazy work to me. But beyond that, beyond that, there were like you were saying, there were just a lot of common interest, and one of the things that I really value when it comes into any type of relationship, romantic, friendship, or what have you, especially when it's looking to get deeper, are people that I can like legitimately like talk to and have a conversation with. So when we can get past how's the weather today? Oh,
Right,
it's hot. Like when we can actually talk about things like religion and talk about things in like the realms of relationships and stuff like that. Uh, that really draws me in, and then just also feeling like that presence within church, because I hadn't legitimately gone to church outside of like family obligation, like, oh, we want you here for Easter. Okay, I guess I'll be there because it's Easter. This was the first time that I was going because I wanted to go. So yeah, built from there, came to the barn a couple more times after that. And there was a lot of different things that were happening in that particular point of time, both positive and negative. But getting into like um, Michael, were you at the pool party?
Nah.
No, okay, I didn't.
The
I,
young adults. No, was there. You're probably working. Third shift.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, that. Yep. Because we were talking about it at church, and you're like, "Yeah, I got to get ready for work." So that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I can't remember the youth pastors name, or not youth pastors. The young adults leaders now, the married couple.
Oh, Cody and Michaela.
Yeah, yeah. They had invited me to come through and say, hey, come check it out. Let's see what's going on there. And I remember hopping into the pool with my car keys.
Nice.
So I was like, I don't know, like I don't know if this is gonna work, but because my car is archaic, the battery was fine. It didn't have all the extra fancy bells and whistles, so we were good. But that was a really good like time and service. Just being there once again in worship, also fellowshipping, and getting a deeper connection with you. And then from there, we did the times that I was coming to the barn. We just always seemed to like talk and communicate and be there, and then watching everybody else grows. Like eventually that just was like, well, let's just make this Snapchat. Let's just make it a thing. Like we're already conversating a lot anyway, so let's have a way to connect with each other in this like central space where if we need to pray for each other, we can. If we're there to, joke around, we can. Like we can actually work on like building a relationship. So that's been what it is.
And that's what we've been doing pretty much since then, is just hanging out when we can. Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
I swear. Nah, so like for me it was a little for me it was a big part in my life because it was at the time where I was in a season where I was losing, thank God, I was losing fake friends, right? And I went through like this whole little period of trying to find the right ones, and with Ollie being obedient and inviting me to the BCM, because if he wouldn't have invited me, I would have never been.
That's fair.
The stuff that the stuff that we experienced at the BCM was life changing. Just three people sitting there reading a book, watching a little sermon,
Tony Evans.
a little something something.
Yeah.
We had amazing conversations, and that friendship started there, and it continued to grow as we communicated. But then, my boy here, Ricardo, I kid you not, I remember this to this day because it was so cool. So his friend that invited him, uh, they come and we're sitting there talking and talking about worship and all. And I see Ricardo, I'm like, man, screw it. So I dab him up. I dab Ricardo up. I dab the other guy up, and I was like, I like you. So so it just started from there, like the whole friendship, the whole communicating, and then the Snapchat, and like you said, the whole praying for each other. That's not that's like 90%.
If you want good friends, you have friends that pray for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what
That's where the rubber meets the road.
yeah. And we have proof that that's exactly what we do in that group chat.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times of us cutting up, communicating, and just stuff like that, and it's good. It's good. And our friendship, our brother, we boys, we brothers. It continues to grow every single day in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I'm blessed, just to be able. Cause look, I ain't got many friends, but hey, these two right here, yup, yes sir, yes sir. But so this is kind of like the second time of us doing an interview, but it's the first time together, right? So it's been a year since I've done both interviews, but it was separate, and a lot has changed. A lot has changed for both of you, and I kind of want to jump into the first one I did, which was with my good boy here, Ollie.
The man did.
So so from a year ago, from the time that we talked, what's changed? What's happened?
Man. Okay. All right. So, well, I was still in college when I think I had just graduated from community college when we had our last. No, 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 no. I was still at Memphis. I was at Memphis. I forgot. It's not 2 years. It's just been a year. So I was at the University of Memphis and I graduated this past beginning of May. So I'm done with that, thankfully.
Congratulations.
Yeah, praise God, because it was tough. Got my accounting degree. Um, but now I'm looking at moving to Nashville and going to ministry school. So that's gonna be pretty cool. And then I think we talked about music
Mhm.
um last year, and so I finally got a Spotify up and put a song I wrote uh that I co-wrote with the Drifted Drum Company, April Jones, um in 2019 or 20 right in 2020 or
Mhm.
2021 actually. um that area somewhere in those 3 years. But I actually got it put on Spotify last year and got that account made and everything. So more music will definitely be coming.
Thank God.
But
Trying to get AP.
yeah, yeah, with personally, but also with To Worship,
Mhm.
the band, the worship band that I get to be a part of, with some good friends there. Um, but yeah, stuff is in the works. We had a song I think already on Spotify, but I released an individual song on Spotify. Um, and all other music platforms. I use Spotify, so when I mention Spotify, I mean all of them. But yeah, so I do have some stuff on there. But
Big
it's
news. Big
right.
news.
I've grown a lot in writing and stuff like that. I've gotten to travel a lot in the past year. Not necessarily with music, but just getting to travel and do different things. Some music writing, some not. Um, and yeah, that's this past year. It's been wild. Uh, a lot of pain, but a lot of healing too in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Started journaling. That's also something that I've started doing, and it's been really healing to write down. Usually I read through the devotional, but I don't think anything of it like next. But then now I'm actually writing about what I'm personally going through, but also what the Lord's telling me through the Word or through people or through circumstances or just if I'm hearing His voice in anything. And I will write those things down. So now I can go back. I've already filled up 2 journals, and I started journaling at the beginning of August last year. So August of 2023.
Nice.
Yeah. So I filled up 2 journals and like a half since then. Just and it's so cool to look back and see even how much I've changed from that point to the next, and to now. But from a year ago, man, it's been a wild ride. Yeah, I can speak more on that a little bit. I'll let y'all go.
So something else, you talked about, that you graduated from college. Thank God you finally dropped a song on Spotify, which needed to happen.
Yeah,
It needs to happen
it needs to
more.
happen.
I'm pushing. I'm gonna have to be like
Right.
Ollie, do a cover. I don't care. Just put something out.
Man.
Put something out. you know, you got your two worship. Drop a Ollie EP. And I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Man, I'll be fine. But but
God.
so the one thing with you is being worship leader.
Mhm.
How has that grown since a year?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I can talk about that some. So, worship leading last year, um, I've grown to be more of a facilitator now. Like I'm not as in control of everything, which I love. that I can do that because I have some really reliable people now
Mhm.
that I can trust to do songs and do things like that. So some background on that. I'm a worship leader at a church. For those of you who haven't seen the first interview, um, I'm a worship leader and I, sing and play instruments and lead people in worship every Sunday usually, and I do it at different camps, travel, do different things like that. But um, now I'm getting to see other people grow into that
Mhm.
and actually use their giftings, and I just get to watch them grow in that and use that, and I couldn't be happier with how God has turned that for His good, but also it's kind of prepared me for the next season. Like so, I'll be leaving my worship leader position once I move to Nashville. So I know that church is in good hands. Like I'm not just leaving them and they're like gonna be looking for somebody to sing or it's not about a face or the same person every Sunday. It's just about getting into the presence of God, like you said, and getting in that place of worship and surrender. And so I get to watch other people do that more than I do it now, and so it's really cool to be part of that. But also it's fun to lead every once in a while, but it's really fun to watch other people grow in it and do that. So I've been growing in that as I've taken that step back and watched other people grow in it. But I've also been growing in my own way, and I'm going to probably be stretched in ways that I've never been musically, spiritually, everything like that whenever I move to Nashville because I know there are a lot of opportunities for uh bigger worship settings and all that. But most of all, it's gonna be tough, but it's gonna be really cool. So as far as worship leading goes, I've grown from just being the person that shows up every Sunday to being someone who facilitates more and gets to work behind the scenes and not hog the spotlight as people would call it. But really it's not a spotlight, it's uh just a service and just to do something and surrender that time and that gifting to a local church and to a um or for other people but also for the Lord. It's been really cool.
Very
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the reason why I push, and for those who are watching, I push Ollie a lot to like drop music and the rest that too. Uh, because for me, like I'm a big music fanatic. I mean, y'all seen my numbers. I be on Spotify way too
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Way too
In the
much.
0.01%
Yeah.
of listeners.
Yeah. Close to 200,000 minutes. So like, cause I want them to do that because first and foremost, I get to put that in my rotation. His music. I get to put that in rotation. I got one song. I need more.
Yeah.
I need more. But I know that there's like a whole bunch of other people who love Spotify as much as I do, which is hard to say. But and they like variety of music like myself, and they come across Ollie. Ollie dropped the EP, right? Let's say that they have certain song here, certain song there. It's on their rotation now. So what does that do? That puts more plays on him, which pushes his music further out, pushes his name further out, and it's just it's a ongoing up because we claim that in the name of Jesus, we going to. So to come over here to good old Ricardo, we got a little discussion for you, and the reason why is because from our last interview, right? We talked about a lot about mental health, which was the biggest key takeaway from that whole video because it was getting close to mental health month, and
It is mental health month now too.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. And so that interview was good in itself, but I kind of want to jump back into that. Like how's your mental health now from where it was a year ago, and then your outlook on like mental health awareness in itself. So let's dive into that, big dog.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Um, I know last year for me personally was probably one of the roughest years
Man.
as far as like growing within communication, growing in spirituality. Like there were a lot of really good positives there. And I started getting to see the fruits of like being around people that are there to build positive loops
Mm.
versus, people that are consistently building negative loops. So to be around those people and to because in a lot of ways we are a product of our environment, and there's very little ways to not have your environment impact you in one way or another. You can
Amen.
you can work outside of it, you can work around it, but there is still part of you that is going to be tailored to the environment that you're around. So
Amen.
so having having last year be probably one of the tougher years as far as communication in a very different way. Because um there's a lot of transition because it was going from a in one situation it's going from a support heavy support heavy being a friend, extending in that area to something a little bit more, and at that particular point in time being like, whoa, wait a minute. This is a little much for me, and learning how to communicate that because I did not communicate well with that particular situation. It was kind of like there, well, it wasn't kind of like it was me working based off of over over exaggerated assumptions. And when you work based off assumptions, you make an out of you. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of working on how to uh, temper what we say and how we say it, and also learning what all is really necessary. Like I was already learning the lesson of um, making war and also making peace, and seeing at what point in time is my sword necessary to cut down an enemy or to clear out a way.
Right.
So
That's good.
there is already that lesson coming in there. And at least a lot of this particular relationship was learning and getting to a point where I got hit with a very hard truth. Like, you do a lot of over explaining to the point where um, you're coming off very confusing, and it's coming off in a very manipulative, very gaslighting manner.
Mm.
Whether that's what I intended or not isn't really the
Mhm.
point. It's the perception of what the other person is feeling. And what that person was feeling at that point was they were being gaslit, they were being manipulated, regardless if that's what I wanted to do or not. And that was a really hard pill to swallow at that point in time. And my mental health at that point was very stressed and very um it hit very hard. And I the same tools that I have now um may have been available back then, but I didn't know they were available back then. So
Yep.
there was a lot of working through that and then growing into my own power with, the support of, supportive friends like you guys. Um, I have one of my best friends, shout out to my best friend Evie. She has been, she's been my ride or die, my A1 since day one, best friend for the longest time. Has a beautiful child,
It's a bar.
beautiful husband. And I've been blessed to be in their life for as long as I've been in it. And I've been blessed to have had some of these lessons go through that relationship that I have with my best friend. Not to the same extreme, mind you, but still worked on it in a very early stage of life. So that way I'm able to pull back from that situation and say, oh, we already grew from this. We can find a different way.
Mm.
Um, I guess going on from there, learning to really, because a lot of people are talking about ego death on TikTok, and I don't like that phrasing. Because you need ego sometimes
Yeah.
in order for you to move in ways that are confident but not necessarily cocky. What I think it is you learning to temper that ego down, because sometimes like you have somebody coming to you about something in a very like intimate manner, and they are clearing out the way for you and saying, "Hey, do you have the space for this? Cool. This is the situation. This is how I felt. This is where it took me. Yada yada yada. Blase blase." And some of those things can be hard to take, but if it's coming from somebody that is treating your space with respect, instead of letting our cognitive dissonance deactivate that point in time and be like, oh, well, I can't believe you said this, you triggered me, this, that, or whatever. You have also stuff to work on, blah, blah, blah. It's okay, pause. What are they saying to me? How is this being perceived at this point? And can I go back into that situation and see where there's areas for me to work on? If there are things that do need explanation, how can I explain that in the clearest way possible for this person? Because some people need it direct, some people indirect, some people a mixture of both in different variables. So, learning to speak somebody else's language and also getting the chance to hear somebody talk about you in a respectful manner, but still like, hey, you did do a couple of these different things that did hurt me. It does take tempering that ego down for a minute and working outside of it even to get to a place where you can say, okay, I see what happened here. I apologize. What are some steps that I can work on with communicating with you, and how can we move forward? And that's been one of the biggest like healing parts for me coming into 2024, because I look at 2024 as a year of transformation and transition. There are a lot of different things that are going on right now where um that was that's funny. Had part of my piercing just decided to unscrew. That's interesting.
Oh,
Anyway,
do you need to fix that?
no, we don't. We're gonna leave this in there too. It's fine.
So I do want to add something real quick.
Sure.
Uh, mute your mic real quick. Yeah, we're having a little, little difficulties with the mics, but I do want to add something, and you can answer this with the when you were talking about the ego. Uh, and you can tell me if it was, but me when I slid up on your story when you were showing your progress, that's what I call it. So how did you take that?
Well, at that particular point in time, um, my with I get in trouble every and I find it so funny because my my Snapchat can be a little spicy sometimes. It's not too spicy. Like this ain't that site. This ain't, OF. This ain't that. But we do hit angles from time to time, and there's progress that is made that I enjoy showing off in different manners.
And by all means, you show it off because that's the next part we're gonna get into. But yeah, because for me, I want to know if what I said was at first it wasn't a joking manner. Of
Yeah.
course, of course. Uh, so I thought it was cool. Um, but yeah, no, just because when I was coming to you about it, it was me being like somewhat. It was being 100%, being funny, but it was like I sat back and I was like, how's he gonna take that? Right? Because, like I said, that's a big jump, in your life. The transformation's crazy. Just go back and watch, a year ago, and you see what I'm talking about. But with me coming to you, sliding up, did that offend you?
Me personally, no. I more so laughed than anything, and it also is one of those things that um I think if you had said that maybe a year or two ago,
Hmm
I probably would have been like,
Who is this? Who is this?
but why?
Yeah.
Um, but also understanding that you're coming to, in this space that you're coming to me from a place of love and saying, "Hey, like
Yeah.
I'm excited for you." However, um, we do need to kind of watch how we're presenting sometimes. It is a great reminder because sometimes that ego inflates a little further than what we need it to be at that point in time. And regardless if I'm because I don't take my Snapchat very seriously unless I put something up there that like is a thought on my mind that's going crazy, or it's not like a one of those joking rants talking about some random thing throughout the day. Um, so I don't usually take my Snapchat seriously unless that's the intention, and it does go back into what is your intention? How are you setting that? What is the tone that you're setting? And that can play a huge factor too, especially when you are working in a place where you are looking to be a leader in one area or another. So that's how I took it is making an observation. You're like, sir, we just talked about it, sir. So um, on on the understanding portion and on the understanding portion of my brain, it's like I get that and I feel that for sure, and that is something that I'm working on. Uh, I will say the ego portion does look at that and it's like my body, my choice. Like, well, what are we talking about? It's 2024, but it's once again there's that paradox there that how do we inflate? How do we temper that to the best of our ability? Because there are things that yes, I do want to show off and put out there and whatnot. And is there a healthier manner that I can do so while also having that having the same kind of grandeur in the ego or tempering that ego down some to where it is satisfied down here versus needing to be satisfied up here. So
You know your audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'd be forgetting my audience sometimes. I'll scroll up and I'll see like, oh, right from I'm like, no, I'm getting the message here soon. And I'll see Michael, Michael's typing. I'm like, ah, please.
Yes,
You
yes.
don't have the bros. Who do you have?
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly. Now it's now that is the truth though. And the reason why, first let me just clarify, so there's no confusion on the viewer side. Um, for me, I'm a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for going on 9 years now, which is crazy to think of. But when he started losing the weight and doing it by fasting, because like I said, transformation's crazy. Just in a year, totally different. Go to the video that we did last year and then come back here and you will see that there is a big difference. And I can say this because see, I ain't got his body. You see, he's skin. He got the abs. He's shredded. I give him that. Me, no. You want to know what I'm rocking with? Arms. That's it. That's all I got. That's my God given talent. Is the that's it. That's it. Legs, nah. Stomach, nah. That ain't it. so so I do that out of love because I also at times post on Snapchat of the progress. That's what I call it. I call it the progress.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
I got some progress going on
I
too.
need some progress too.
But it's all out of love.
Yeah.
And I just want to clarify that to y'all that it is coming from a place of love. I'm not attacking him for showing off his progress because I'm a big supporter on that. Progression is key.
Yeah.
Progression is key. So I do applaud you for just showing off. Like, hey, I went from this to this, and I did it in a healthy way. You know. So I do applaud you for that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You deserve it. I mean, boy out here shredded now. He shredded. Now he just gotta get them bigger arms. Come on now, come to the gym. I get you swole.
And Michael trying to have me be a problem.
That's I mean, that's another thing though. I do appreciate like how we've also like we are intentional about each other's health, usually not when we hang out. We usually pig out a little bit when we hang out, but we don't hang out like every day. So it's like yeah, when we see each other, we pig out. We have a good time regardless. But I love that like we could do like this challenge recently. I failed miserably. I which it's not failure because I'm still going, but like I'm still gonna finish it out. But like on the Facebook page that we have, 31 days, which you can talk more about the group because you made the group, right? Right. Yeah. So yeah, but that kind of started with the St. Jude challenge in March, which was got that one done. I was very amazed, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get these sit-ups for the sobriety challenge, and this didn't happen. But I know that it's in me, and I know that with discipline, we can do really hard things and do really cool things because I did the push-ups in March, and so I mean, I know I can do the sit-ups, but just got to get that discipline in there. And so the fact that we can tell each other like, "Hey, I didn't make it," like it's a safe space. We can talk about that stuff, and we can be like, "Well, I'm not quite where I want to be, but we're getting there," or I'm there today, and I'm happy to tell you I'm there today. So that's like it's a safe space regardless, and that's something I can really appreciate in our friendships, but also in the communities that we've gotten involved in as we've gone on. So
Yeah. Shoot, yeah. So he did bring up that good point about the whole sobriety thing that we have going on. He came up with it, and he was just asking for opinions, and I was like, why don't you do both? It's the. I'll let you talk on that.
So this challenge that we ended up doing, which I'll get to it in a minute because I'll get too excited about it. But the challenge that we were doing, um, first I brought to well, I talked with my spiritual advisor about it, which now my formal spiritual advisor, because her and I we got to not a disagreement or anything of that nature, but her and I got to a point where we were working at a similar level and we're going in different paths, but we still cross from time to time. So we're more like spiritual friends versus like advisor and advisee at this point. Um, but she had brought up this idea after the St. Jude challenge, which, if you guys don't know about that, that would be for the month of March. We're getting 3,000 push-ups from March 1st all the way down to March, yeah, so you could do 100 push-ups a day and get your 3,000. You could do all 3,000 within a day if that's what you wanted to do. But the purpose of that, at least the purpose that I found in that, was that I was serving this higher purpose with my workouts. Because at that point in time, with me working out, it was starting to get stale, dull. Like I do enjoy being healthy. Um, but I didn't feel like I was doing anything else besides the same continuous routine. I already have that with work and the job that I do. I didn't want to bring that same kind of sameness to my workout. I wanted something more. So going through the St. Jude challenge and having this amazing community of people hyping each other up and saying, "Hey, I'm doing push-ups with a mattress on my back," or I'm doing unique like um, incline push-ups, or I'm doing like elevated, however it was that they were doing it, from the people that were just starting out, because there's some people that will like they said, "This is my first time doing push-up." Right. I hadn't done a push-up, but I'm here, and they were still going at it, and it was such a positive environment to be in. So I ended up doing. I wish I would have worn my St. Jude shirt. I was thinking about it.
there.
Um, but it was such a beautiful community to be a part of and to post videos every day and to go through that process where I got to sit down and talk and be like, "Hey, let's get it done. Let's get going. Like, where are you at today? How has your day been? How can it be better?" Even fostering this new idea, which I'm more so brought into this challenge here, of there are no bad days. There's negative energy, sometimes there's positive energy, and how much is in that particular day can dictate that, and we feel that, we process it, and we release it so we get ready for the next day. Um, so it started with that St. Jude and went into this one called 31 Days of Sobriety. It was a challenge slash celebration because when we do get into sobriety, a lot of the times we're always either talking about it from this negative standpoint of, well, you need to get sober. You've got to get off of whatever drug, or you've got to get off of the alcohol, or whatever the case may be. It's usually done in such a harsh and brash manner. Or it's done from this, oh, I can't believe it. Wow, you're sober now. Like, we don't discuss the in between. It's very much a paintbrush. It's either you need to be sober,
You is or you ain't.
right? And it gives off the impression that sobriety is easy. It gives off the impression that it's just something that you flip a switch on, and that's not the case. There are daily choices, especially at the beginning of sobriety from anything. There are daily choices that you are making, unlearning. There's energy that you are putting into saying, I'm not touching that drink. I'm not touching that drug. I'm not being around these friends. I'm not going to work as much. There's a lot of energy and choices going into that. And then replacing that with something like, today I'm going to drink more water. Today I'm going to do these push-ups. Today I'm going to go hang around people that are fostering love and care in my life. Those all take a lot of courage. It takes a lot of love and care for self. It takes a lot of like leaping out on that branch of faith there and saying, I'm gonna do it. Where am I gonna land? I don't know. What relationships am I going to get back at some point in time? Because there are people that we can hurt.
Yeah.
Where do we land, and how do we be comfortable with the space that we're in now? How do we separate sober us from not sober us? So we don't really talk about that a whole lot, and we don't celebrate it enough, in my opinion. So to be able to set up this challenge and have Michael input, like, why don't we, do like the 30 miles and the 3,000 sit-ups? It was a really good challenge to have because, you could choose either or. I went with doing both, and I actually have sit-ups that I need to catch up on myself. No, you are not alone. I have 1,300 to catch up on. And I say that
We got 2,700 to catch up on.
no, it's a road that we're taking, and that's okay.
It's like sobriety is a road that you have to take, that you have to willingly choose and make the time, because it's easy to fall back into things. It's easy to get back into old routines and old habits. Old habits don't die hard.
No, they
They
don't.
don't. They will take your life. They will literally grip your life and take that from you. Yep.
Right. And, even with that, I think one of the biggest things that I've picked up, not only from my spiritual friend, but also just in general, is that sometimes we get so afraid of pushing pause and saving. Like right there, if we're going in game terms, sometimes we get so afraid of saving because we feel like we're gonna lose progress. And that's it. I've been in that space where I was like, if I stop working out, then I'm gonna gain all this weight back. It's gonna be this huge thing. It's like going through this really big existential crisis. But taking a moment to pause and say, maybe I need this week to rest.
Yeah.
Maybe I need the space to calm it for a minute.
Yeah.
And even, being in this group that we're in right now and being like, hey, this is not a mandatory, you need to be at 3,000 by today.
Right.
This is to encourage you to push yourself where you need to and to rest where you need to. And to understand that just because you're resting doesn't mean that you're not progressing. Whenever you save a game, you save it in one spot. When you resume the game, you get back to that spot. You're still moving. You still have all the material that you had. You still have, whatever weapons, items, healing potions. You have all that there. It's not gone. With working out, you put a couple rest days in there for a reason because your body needs time to say, wait a minute, we got to build this up. You're doing too much here. You're just breaking stuff down, which is why you're seeing this plateau. So you need that rest in there. So for me to be like, oh, I've got like 12, 1,300 sit-ups to do, I don't look at it as a failing grace or a failing point. I look at it more as a goal that I'm working towards, and I can work on that goal as fast or as slow as I need to. If I'm gonna do like 500 tonight, then I'm doing 500 tonight. If I'm like, nah, I'm really smooth on just hitting 100, that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll be proud of where I got to because our bodies show up for us constantly, even when we don't show up for our bodies.
Hmm.
Our bodies work for us all the time.
That's a bar.
That's a bar.
Our bodies work for us all the time.
Yeah.
You can get big and you still have the ability to think and feel and have all these complex emotions. You can get super skinny and still think and feel and do all these different things without having to think about
Yeah.
your body compensating for where you're at in life. And that's probably one of the most beautiful things about the body. One of the most beautiful things about this challenge is that you show up in positivity. And when you do that, when you build those positive loops, then it's a lot easier for you to jump back in with the tools that you have and use those tools versus building up with this negative, like, oh, I'm coming in to crush my body because I didn't do what I needed to do.
Punishment, like,
Or,
Speak it, bro. Speak facts.
man, or, we had one person in our group, which I was really proud of both of you guys, uh, for she came into this group and said, hey guys, be 100% honest with you. I fell back. I fell hard.
relapse,
Yeah.
relapse, like,
And she was really struggling with sharing with the group, but was also really excited to be like, hey, I'm back. I'm here. And I think it was either you or you,
it was Michael. It was for sure Michael.
but Michael came in there and was like, hey, we appreciate you for sharing. Um, we're here for you.
Yeah.
We're here for you. And listen, congratulations on getting back started. And that's just the biggest thing. You're getting back to it.
So something that I kind of took from that and just being because someone who's had an addiction, and first let's clarify this, that an addiction is not only to drugs, alcohol, work. It can be anything. You can make anything into an addiction, which which is crazy, right? Because my addiction was, I'm vulnerable. I don't care. Mine was, pornography. Decade, 10 years. That was my addiction. Uh, and that changed my mind, my perspective at life, and just all around relationships. So for me, that was mine. And when I was getting out, when I first saw, like, oh wow, this is actually an addiction. I'm addicted to this. I kind of had to push into it. But the one thing that I told myself is anybody who is going through either the same addiction or any other addiction or any other problem, they're going to have my support. I'm going to support them even if they relapse. So it was like, to me, it was like God was testing me if I was being true to that. So when she relapsed and she posted in there, I felt like God was like, all right, Michael, you see this. Nobody's responded. Let's see what you do. I was at work. I was on the clock and I was like, you know what? Screw it. Whipped out that phone. I was like, and I typed it all out. I was first saying, that it takes guts to first admit that you relapsed. Admit that you went back to it. And it also, what really impressed me is she admitted that she's going back, right? That she realized that she went to it. Now she's taking even a bigger step to get back into the grind of the sobriety. And that's what I was applauding her for. Like that's a big step. That's big, and I want to applaud you for that because not many people will admit that or even just talk about it. You know, so that's how it was for me because nobody did it for me, so I wanted to be that person to do it for them. You know, so like if anybody else in the chat is like, well, you know, I fell into it. Well, hey, reach out. By all means, I told her I said I'll pray for you. And she replied back to it. I'm not gonna go into detail on that, but I told her I said I'm gonna pray for you because that's big. That's big. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a proud moment because I had only seen it a little bit later, and I saw that Michael had already responded to it, and legitimately,
It was an amazing response.
right, didn't even. I was like, Michael already on it. I don't even need to say nothing. Michael already on it. He got it, and that's the really beautiful thing about the community. Even for the people that aren't active in there as frequently, they get to see us be
Yeah.
kind. Like, it, it is a very hard thing to say, hey, I fell back on such and such and such. Like, I know for me, um, one of the, well, both of the addictions that I'm recovering from, one of them is alcohol, and that's what I'm celebrating today. So for me to, like, if I were to come to you today and say, hey, um, went down to the store and I don't know what happened. It's spent $20 and that was it. Um, I woke up the next morning feeling awful, and that was what happened. That was the thing. I don't want to speak too much on it. That's a difficult thing to bring up because I know it's a sore point for me, and it feels very frustrating and very defeating, especially when you see that you've made this progress. You've seen that you've gone, you know, maybe days, weeks, months, years,
Wow.
and now you're starting from the beginning.
Rears its ugly head. Yeah.
Mm,
After that time. Yeah, because it happens.
it does. And it's scary
Mhm.
and it's frustrating. And you really want to have a place to throw blame at that point. At least in my experience. Um, I didn't do it so much with nicotine whenever I fell back because it was what it was. At least for me, it was like it was what it was. I just hopped back on that particular train and said, you know, I'm just not doing this again. And we made it. We're working on year 2 now. But for alcohol, because I know the history behind that, and I know the you know the lineage behind alcoholism when it comes to like me and my family. Um, it's just it would be a lot more difficult for me to admit that, and even with pornography for me, that's something that literally just yeah, that literally for me personally just stopped this past um October.
Wow.
So yeah, it's good stuff.
Good.
It's good stuff because you, like Michael said, you do, and we can get into a whole different topic on that, especially when talking about men and the way that that goes. But
Yeah.
you know, to do it in more of a direct manner, it does really change your perspective on relationships and seeing afterwards that clarity of, oh, you know, the way that I was viewing my friends, you know, the way that I was viewing my romantic partner, the way that I was even viewing my family and my job, all those different things um, fall into a very perverted lens.
Yeah.
And you treat people very differently when you are addicted to something like pornography or addicted to something like alcohol, drugs, whatever. It doesn't necessarily show up in the same way. Like we have very Hollywood versions of, you know, portrayals of alcoholism in there, and some of them are, you know, better portrayed as than others. But we do have um, voices out there for alcoholism. We have a lot of voices out there for other heavier drugs and whatnot. But we don't have it for things like people that work too much, people that overeat.
Raised up on my toe.
Um, people, um, people that are that spend way too much as far as like their finances are concerned, because that's an issue.
Yeah.
Toe, bro.
Other
Bro. He stepped on my right foot,
Other
then my
toe.
left foot. Golly.
Oh,
Because it's to cope. I mean, a lot of that is to cope, and it's like, oh yeah, if you didn't hear me, it's to cope. People want to cope with something they don't like their current reality, and so you can get lost in the sauce if you if you know
That's a good
in
way to
in a
say
way
it.
to
Lost
say
in
it,
the
yeah.
sauce.
And then the next moment you're like, how did I get here?
Mm.
How did I view my relationships? So, like you said, perverted, or how did I rely on a bottle, or yeah, or and people don't realize like it's not linear, and it's something like you said that the you have to work back on the grind of sobriety. It's like, yeah, it's a grind, but it's a good work. It's a better work. And I think the spaces that we've gotten to be a part of and that we've gotten to talk with people. I mean, I've worked in churches and I do things like that, and I love that a lot of churches are hosts to like Alcoholics Anonymous or like um rehabilitation. There are churches dedicated to that, and things like that. So I'm glad that there is a shift in that because you don't expect that from religious organizations. Like you expect judgment, you expect right now you turn or burn, a lot of stuff. But I don't think that's what the Lord is telling people to do. Um, there's definitely an urgency about it though because we do want people to be sober and we want people to um, be the best that they can be and treat their bodies like their bodies are treating them and trying to sustain them and things like that. So it's a really beautiful thing, and I think it all really boils down to love. Are we loving people well? And I'll share a scripture with that before we end the podcast for sure at some point. But
I mean,
okay,
if you want to pull it up,
yeah, yeah.
shoot, yeah. I mean, while he gets that pulled up, um, you know, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. It has. Just with the whole sobriety thing itself, um, it's a challenge every single day. And like Ricardo said earlier, you have to make that choice.
Hmm.
Every day you make that choice. It's just like you make that choice if you want to go to work tonight. You make that choice if you want to go to the gym. You make that choice if you want to do this or that. And taking that step and first admitting that you have this addiction.
Hmm.
That's like the biggest maturity point is admitting to yourself
Yeah.
that this is an addiction. Because that's how it was for me. Like when I realized that it became an addiction, it was like, okay, this is an addiction. And that hit me. I was like, I can't believe I'm addicted to this. And that killed me. It killed I can't lie about it. It killed me. And the thing that the Holy Spirit wanted me to do was to incorporate that into my testimony. And that was the biggest part is standing in front of other people who may not know me or they know who I was. They just didn't know what happened behind closed doors type deal. And me speaking on that, telling them that I dealt with this for 10 years from the age of 8 to 18. Them hearing that, and it's like, never expected that. Like, I never saw that coming. This came left field. And a lot of people who are addicted, besides pornography, it could be alcohol, drugs, coming out to them saying I'm addicted to this is a very big step, and it's a mature step because you're gonna have people who are gonna hold you accountable, but they're gonna be there for you.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, all right, cool, you want to get this help, take my hand, I'm gonna walk with you. And that's something that if you are going through something like that, there's hotline numbers for you.
Hmm.
I'll make sure to put that in the description. Same thing, back on the mental health. If you're going through that, that's going to be in the description as well. Reach out to somebody by all means. You have a purpose. You are loved. Uh, and yeah, so you got that scripture.
I do.
Look
I
at
do,
that.
bro.
Big man, got it. Ooh.
So yeah, kind of. I feel like it's like a culmination of all we've been talking about. It's like because our mental health and our bodies and like we aren't gonna do these things well if we're not in a space in a community where we are loved.
Mm.
Like Like, if I reached out to Michael and I was just like, come to this thing and do this thing, and we're just there and we're not doing anything on a deeper level, because love is deep regardless if I've known you 20 minutes or 20 years, you know. And so First Corinthians 13 talks about love. It's called the love chapter in the Bible, but it's verse 7 particularly, it's just saying love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. It's like you can have impressions of people and you can have your thoughts about them and you can have um past encounters with them that are harmful, or maybe you just perceive them as harmful, like you were talking about earlier. Like, my impression is that I'm hurt by what you're saying, or my impression is that you're out to get me, you know. But if you really love somebody, you don't go off those impressions. You just ask them. You're just like, hey, what's going on? Because if they love you, and if it's real love, it endures all things, it bears all things, and hopes all things. So it's like, yes, we mess up. Yes, we fall back sometimes, but as long as we're on that path, um, trying to do better, and we have people around us that really love us, that are gonna be there and say, "Hey, I'm gonna pray for you. I don't really know you, but I'm gonna pray for you."
That's what happened. That's
Yeah,
exactly what happened.
like like that's love, and that's again where I said the rubber meets the road. It's like being there for people and not being a judgmental voice or another voice to bring them down, because they already have enough of those in their head, or at least I know from my own experience. It's like I already self talk negatively a lot whenever I'm dealing with stuff. So it's like um to have somebody uh in the flesh say, hey, you can do this, and I'm gonna pray for you and I'm gonna walk alongside you in this, like that's huge.
No, it is huge. It is. And something else that just came to my mind. I want to talk about a little bit about the friendship that we have.
Mm,
Um, something strong is you need people like for me. I needed Ollie and Ricardo. I needed them in my life for a purpose and a reason.
yeah.
And you know what I told Ollie is, you know, during that season of where I was going through hell, uh if it wasn't like I said for his obedience, listening to the Holy Spirit just invite me, I wouldn't be here, because I would have listened to the voices and I would have just been like, well, you know, I am alone. You know, I have all these bad things happening to me, and then that suicide creeped in my mind, and then I would have fell through. I would have went through with it, because
Mm,
I was losing the friends. Thank God that, you know, he showed me that they were fake. You know, they were fake friends, and I've known them all all my life. And then I see Ollie, he's a true friend, and he was showing me that, and I was like, golly. And then Ricardo comes in the picture, and it's like, this is what I've been missing out for like 20 years. Golly. And you know, it's good for me now that I have these people in my life, because I had a whole lot of people who were friends. Um, and it dropped down to like 5, 6 people that I consider friends, and they're actually like true friends. They're like family. And if it wasn't for them coming into my life and just being themselves, right? That's a big thing. Be yourself always. Do not be someone you're not, because that will hurt you. Because that's what I try to do. It hurt me, and yeah, never again. But but I always say that if it wasn't for them, you know, just being themselves and us starting this friendship, like I would be in a way worse place than you know where I am at now. But I'm happy. I'm finally happy. You know, through everything else, but you know, I'm happy now, and I'm blessed to have these guys in my life. You know, I'm blessed to have the other people in my life, and just the position that I'm in. You know, it's a blessing,
yeah.
and it's only up. That's it.
Get
That's
friends
it.
who will challenge you and love you. That's the thing, cause
Yeah, we do that a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, we very much we challenge each other with a lot of different things, and that's I think that's probably one of the most beautiful things about the relationship that we have is that we can challenge each other in a healthy way.
Yeah.
We can present these different ideas or different perspectives, and we can work in a way that is positive, and we can look at maybe we do need to adjust this, or probably not, or we can work in ways that serve us while also presenting ourselves in a way that can also serve the communities that we want to serve as well. And I think a lot of that really does start with the close connections that you have, because if the close connections that you do have are constantly weighing you down or constantly siphoning this positive energy from you, then you find yourself feeling drained and empty all the time. Even if, they are doing well, they're not adding to you in the way that you need to be added to in order for your glass to have any kind of substance in there to give out. So, to be in this space where there is a lot of give and take, share, collaborate, all those different things there, it really is a special and beautiful thing. And for me personally, I don't have a whole lot of friends. I have even less guy friends out there. I don't have very many guy friends that I can I just go to and hey, this is really weighing on my heart. Hey, can you pray for me? Send good vibes. I don't have really any guy friends that I do that in particular with. But here, I've got y'all, and I can go into the group chat and say, I can go into as much or as little detail as I want to. Like, hey guys, I just need prayer today. That's it. And you're like, all right, I got you. Sometimes we send voice messages to each other. Just,
Or sometimes I don't respond for 3 days. Hey,
we're working on that one.
we're not perfect. It's not perfect for sure.
Far from it. Far from it. Ah.
Mm.
So so with that being said, is there anything is there any questions that y'all have for me?
Well, okay. Where has your spirituality stayed the same over the past year, and where has it differed? And do you believe that it is more in a positive way, a negative way, or is it kind of neutral? Is it in between?
Man, for me, my spirituality uh has grown like tremendously. And the reason why is because becoming a youth pastor really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And I've only been doing it for a few months now, and to see the kids that are there, seeing their faith grow, see them trust in the Lord more has made my faith grow. And it's amazing to see and experience, because in that you see that they're like I said, they're growing, but everything that you teach them, like for one instance, is one of the Bible verses that I use a lot. I use two of them, which is First Peter 5:7 and Matthew 11:28. And a lot of times we have to speak that to our younger generation because a lot of them are lost, right? So First Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all care upon him, for he cares for you." And Matthew 11:28 is, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So I kind of I repeat that a lot, because if you say it a lot, they're gonna hear it a lot, and it's gonna get in their mind. And what made my faith really grow is when I challenged one of them who rarely speaks, and I told her, I was like, "What's one of the Bible verses out of the two that I say the most?" She rose her hand. I was like, you're raising your hand to answer this question? Wow. And then she said First Peter 5:7, and then she said it. She repeated it, and I was like, well, I'm actually making an impact. And that made my faith, it made it grow. It really did, and it was a blessing, and it grows every single day. Now it does, because it's a relationship. It has to grow. Just like for us. Like our relationship has to grow. That's by what?
One way or the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just by, communicating, talking, getting to know each other. I mean, like you could take your own relationship and apply it with the relationship with Christ. Like you have to communicate, you have to talk, You have to get to know that person. Well, if you're sitting there thinking, well, how do I do that? Worship, reading the Bible.
Word, yeah.
I mean, you have all these things, and it's just been a blessing. It has.
That's really
Thanks for asking that question.
yeah. Think a little bit. So in the year between, I think you've had the same job, but just like what what are you looking forward to? Like, uh, well, let's do this. Where have you been, like, as far as work or projects, things like that, in the last year to now? And then what are you looking forward to in the next year? Or maybe the next, do you got a 5-year plan, maybe? Yeah.
So, oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one. So, for my job, I went from an associate at Walmart to becoming a team lead, which is a manager position. So
Academy.
so praise God for that.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a blessing. And the thing is for me, and something that I have to change my mindset on is I don't really have any goals.
Hmm.
So what my mindset is on right now is to make a lot of money, to enjoy life, and to make disciples. That's it right there. That's it. And I know I should have more. I should have more like family, relationship, maybe, and going on to the project, which is this one right here, doing the in person interviews.
Yeah, we
I
love it.
love
We
this.
love it.
I love this. I love that I'm able to do it. So yeah,
Why do you believe you should
you're
have
muted.
question? Why do you take two on that one? Why do you believe you should have moments?
Mm.
Because if I tell someone that answer, which I just gave y'all, which was make a lot of money, enjoy life, and make disciples, they're gonna be like, well, what happens in the middle?
You want something to happen in the middle?
I want a
What?
house.
I
I
mean,
want a family. It's just the little stuff. And for me to like think about that, just to think about having a family, having a wife and kids. Like I first have to have a girlfriend, so that's not in the picture yet. So it's not in my goal set yet. But the job, making the money, it's already happening. The living my life to the best that I can. I'm doing that now. And then the third one, which was make disciples, I'm doing that now by being the youth pastor. So like for the family, I'd love to have a family. I'd love to have a wife, but I first have to have a girlfriend to the equation. So whenever that comes into the equation, then yes, my answer will change. But I'm just, I'm enjoying life. I'm an introvert. So I mean, you ain't gonna really see me like, oh, I'm a fly to this place here. Nah, it ain't gonna happen, Chief. Unless if God tells me, hey, big dog, I need you to go. Other than that, I'm staying here.
Somebody got to hold the fort down.
and that's super fair. And the reason I ask is because I've run into a lot of different people that come into this should mentality, and a lot of times uh, that is projected out because of different milestones, or traditions, whatever the case may be. Um, Especially when you are talking about somebody that is in their early 20s, like sometimes it can be like, I need to have this, that
Yeah.
right now. So that's the reason I ask, because when it comes down to, and I say this a lot, but when it comes down to life, life is not a marathon, life is not a race, life is an adventure. So if right now you're saying you just want to make a lot of money, you want to make disciples, what was your other one?
Just live life to the fullest.
Just if that is where you're at right now in your adventure, then that's where you're at right now in your adventure, and there's nothing wrong with being there. You know, there's a lot of things to do because we can get trapped in trying to check all these different boxes off that we find ourselves biting off way more than we can chew. My personal experience with that is I had my at the time um, my ex-wife, who was my girlfriend at that point in time, she had gotten pregnant, and that was a decision that we made. We talked about it, and we were going to proceed with having a child. But one of the things that um, my family pushed, and even her family a little bit pushed, was y'all should really get married. Like, I mean, the way that it looks in the community, you should. I'm like, well, I don't really feel like doing that right this second. Like, I want to marry her eventually. Like, that is part of our goal of being in this relationship, because whenever I date somebody, I'm dating with the end goal of right, the intention of marrying them. That is the intent. Doesn't mean that we're getting married like tonight. Um,
It's a relationship. We've got to build up to that. Yeah.
exactly. So that was a point that I had stressed a lot, until it got to, well, we'll just pay for the courthouse. It's fine. Like, we don't have to do the big ceremony, this, that, or whatever. And granted, while very much I believe that my wife loved me back then, or my girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend loved me back then deeply, and I loved her back then deeply. It was a decision that was probably best made with uh, with the mentality of, I don't need to check this box off right now. It's not necessary for me. It's not necessary for us, because we're already living well together anyway. So we don't need to press this, like, we have to be married agenda to do that kind of thing. So that I try to, or no, I try more so, I work on uh pushing that out to, especially to people in their early 20s, is that there's really no place you have to be right now. As long as you are living in positivity and you're moving out there, you're doing everything that you need to. If your call is to follow God, and Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that is your call to do, then do so. If your call is to the universe and that's what you believe in, by all means, do so. That is where you're. Yeah. Touch grass, hug a tree. If you if you're meant to, go over to Spain and you're either there to make disciples or just see the running of the bulls, do that. There's so many different experiences, and plays into another point of, we treat the amazing things that we have in life as if they are a limited resource. We treat our negativity as if that is infinite. So we treat it as if we're always going to have time. I'll just do that tomorrow. I'm just going to go and do my goal tomorrow. Oh, I'm just going to go and do this particular thing tomorrow. Whether we're starting from small scale or not, that's what we do. But the negative thing is like, I'm never going to get to such and such place. And the thing is, we have such limited, like, we have plenty of time. Like, don't get me wrong, you're 22. You have over 22,000 days around this earth to get done what you need to get done. So this is not a call to action for you to go out and just do everything that you need to right now, but it is a call to action to live your adventure. You don't have to pause your adventure by living in the negative loop of, this bad thing is happening and it's never going to stop, or this one hoop is something that I'm never going to get out of. You can break the loop. You can break the chain. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, I'm a huge fan of Daenerys Targaryen, simply for the fact that her main goal is to, well, kind of gets muddied up in last season, but her main goal is to break the wheel, to break chains. Um, and whether you're a fan of her or not, that is what she stands by. That is her big thing, is breaking goals, breaking chains. So by all means.
You were sitting there talking about it, about checking the boxes. I just thought about something. It goes hard. Thank you, Jesus. Uh,
Amen, amen.
if you're sitting around, and you're like 21, 22, even 23, and you're sitting there beating yourself up about not checking off these boxes, and that's all you're worried about, you're missing the beauty of life. and
Facts.
and I can speak on that because, and I kind of want to talk about it. Um, was when you invited me and him to, what was it, Pinson?
Yes.
So he invited us to Pinson, and I was ready for it because walking, of course, doing a little exercise. But the thing is to see all of it. To get on top of the mound there, looking out, looking how it exactly, it was beautiful. And for me, I was like, "Oh, this is different. I love this." And because of him inviting me to that, it now allowed me to have the love for sunsets, or just to look at how the clouds are looking, or just all of the above, like looking at nature itself, right? Because he's deeply in love with nature. Let me tell you, we saw it twice, and just for him to invite us and we experience that. First, I applaud you for being yourself, right? This man howled. I was like, this man howled. I was like, this man really.
Howled back.
That is true.
Howled back.
That is true.
So
I was like, hey, there's a connection going somewhere, but it was beautiful, and I loved it.
it was.
And just to like I said, to see everything, to experience it. If you're sitting there crunching on your, what was that? If you're sitting there crunching on, checking these boxes off, you're gonna miss opportunities like that. You're gonna miss that beautiful sunset, or you're gonna miss how the cloudy skies are looking, and you're gonna miss that, and you're gonna miss taking in, sitting on the edge of a gully, looking at the scenery that is in front of you. You're gonna miss that if you're sitting there worried about just, oh man, I gotta get a house.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta do this, and that. But you're not taking that time to enjoy what's in front of you, missing the purpose of life.
Yeah.
That's a bar. I'm taking that. I'm taking that. Oh.
Yeah.
So drop the mic.
Go ahead and drop the mic on that one. But it's so true. We spend we spend a lot of our times treating the positive moments as if we're always gonna have the chance to do them.
That's a
And
good reminder.
yeah, we
Everyone needs to hear that.
right,
For sure.
because there are there are a lot of negative things that we are going to be unlearning as we're growing up. That's one thing that I've already very much come to terms with when it comes to, my son and, the situation that he's in. Um, Objectively speaking, it's not the most traumatic thing in the world, but there are still things there that for sure he's going to be unlearning. There are things that right now serve him well because of his age, but when he's 10, 13, not going to serve him as much. So there's going to be something new that he'll need to learn in place of that thing, and it's going to be adapting and growing in that space. Um, However, especially when you are
Gotta get you in the frame.
yeah throughout our lives, a lot of the different things that we have gone through in one stage or another can be minimized. Um, as a kid, especially being a boy, as a kid you can be like, it didn't hurt, come on, shake that off. And that bleeds off into your teenage years. Like, come on, listen, you don't need to be crying like that. You're not a girl. Relax. And then you get into your 20s, where now maybe you're finding yourself getting into those more serious relationships. Maybe you're looking at a romantic relationship, and your partner is asking you to communicate these emotions. And at this point, not only are we not emotionally intelligent at that point to communicate those different things, we're also not emotionally mature enough to communicate those things in a healthy manner. And we can be so stuck on these loops um, in the past that we miss out on these different things. So all of our goals we're putting on the back burner, all of this negativity we're putting on the forefront and being like, I'm never going to get past this. I'm never going to work through this. Maybe your goal is to be a writer. I'll just do it tomorrow when I have more energy. I'll I'm a podcaster. I'll figure out some time to podcast later. It's fine. I have plenty of time to do it. I guess maybe I don't
Stop
know.
procrastinating.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is. You're procrastinating.
We get so locked into the fear of failing and the fear of facing the same kinds of ridicule that we've been faced with our entire lives. Of it's not really that big a deal. You ain't got to worry about it.
Mm.
Your goal. I mean, it is what it is. Fall back onto your 9 to 5. Hey, like that's what you went to school for, right? Why don't you fall back on that? Why are you so worried about this particular thing? But
That may not be your calling. It may not be what you're supposed to do.
right, and it can hurt.
Mhm.
It can hurt a lot, and it can bleed into those different relationships. But when we take the time to start flipping that script
Mhm.
and saying, uh, that I have I have this adventure that I need to go on, and I'm going on it regardless. In this adventure, I want to have these different experiences like Pinson. On this adventure, I want to try things that I've never tried before and see where they take me. Um, that is the perfect time to lock into those things and start letting some of these different things go. Uh, it's a lot different than sweeping them under the rug and saying, I'll deal with it later. No, letting it go takes a form of release that is so much deeper than just sweeping it under the rug and handling it later.
That's maturity. I mean, and it's like growing out of those things because it's easy. It's easy to sweep stuff under the rug.
Hmm.
It's easy to, be like, I'll just go work. I'll just go do my thing. I won't do the things I actually enjoy
Mm.
because it's easy, but really it's not easy because you're cutting yourself short. You're
Yeah.
selling yourself short. Not, I know that because I've been there and definitely still wrestle with that from time to time. I mean, Michael, you know how it is. Um, being in our early 20s and still figuring things out and like college, it's always something.
Yeah.
So, and probably with you still too, Ricardo, because you have those things like your passions, and then you have, oh, but I need to do this and I need to do that, and I just don't have time for the things I'm passionate about. It's
No.
like,
Glad you said that, because now what happens, right? Now what happens is, I pushed you for a while to do your music on, Spotify. You're doing it. You got your one song. You got your two worship. I'm gonna push you a little more to get some more out.
sure.
So what just clicked to me, I was like, you're talking about the passion, and you have passions too. Stop procrastinating. Do your passions. Push you. I'm gonna push you. And it needs to happen because you have a story, you have your thought processes on things, the research that you've done. You're very intelligent when it comes to mental health, when it comes to just coming up with a story in itself. You have that talent. You have the opportunity. It's just you're procrastinating. And see, y'all can't sit here and say I'm judging for those watching, because I do it to myself.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, you right.
You are very much right. I do have my own passions, and there's been I think we probably talked about it a little bit when we first started getting to know each other. Um, about me writing and getting back into that. And there's definitely been, especially at the beginning, there's been this like learning to love that passion again,
Mhm.
for me. Uh, and now it's let's just get in there. Like, why aren't we doing it? Why are we procrastinating?
I'm gonna clip this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna clip it. And I said I'm gonna clip it, and I'm gonna to a short little film. I'm gonna clip what he just said. I'm clipping that, and I'm going to pin it in our group chat. And I'm gonna hold him accountable for it now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So same thing with Ali. 'Cause in the beginning, he said I'm
It's gonna come up in the messages if I ever say, I've just got too busy. You're busy.
clipping it.
What about your passions?
I'm clipping it. Yes, sir.
I mean, there is the very real thing that we deal with, though. Like, we do have, we do. we do have to meet needs. We do have to provide for those around us, and we do have to do those things. So there is
Factual.
that. There are things that we have to get done that sometimes usurp our passions and the things we really want to do and desire to do. But we shouldn't let that be a hindrance. We should make time for it. I just dug myself in a deeper hole because I'm definitely gonna use that against me at some point.
Yeah,
But that's the fact of the matter.
Mhm.
very, very real fact. We can use the time and space that we have in more effective manners and use them to be tools in order for us to really meet those different passions and goals and things of that nature. We can do that.
Happy. I'm clipping all of this.
I know,
Our words are gonna come back to us recording.
right? Come back to us on that TikTok memories. Michael's gonna be like, "So what about your passions?" You're right, passions.
So this has been fun. I've enjoyed this. I have, you know, this has been fun. I've enjoyed it. We kind of at the end it a little short because we have a somewhat of a sunset to go catch before it's completely gone.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
It's gone, but
We'll still go to the lookout. But
yeah.
so to end this, I like how I have incorporated it. So Ollie, I would like for you to pray.
Okay.
To end it off with a prayer. But before that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, uh, show them some love too. If they want their socials in the description, I got you. I got you. But again, thank y'all for being a part of it, for being episode number 2, and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing. So Ollie, if you would pray.
All right, guys. So yeah, God, I just want to thank you for good friends, for each and every person that's watching this podcast. I hope that they had a good time with us, but also just that they got to just see that people can do this thing and they can have good friendships who will push them, but also love them well and just give us a revelation of love that endures all things, hopes all things, and yeah, just give us that, Lord, and just help us to love people well and to take care of our minds, our souls, our emotions, our bodies, God, because you made us for a purpose and for a reason, and we have to find that purpose. And there's so many beautiful things out there that we can find our purpose in, but most importantly, that's found in you. And thank you for just bringing along some awesome people in my life, uh, but also in Michael's life and Ricardo's life, people that we don't see on a day-to-day basis, but that they get to see. And I just pray a blessing over each and every person who's watched this video, who's listened to this podcast, and I just pray blessing over them and just that they got something out of this time and out of our words, and it would just glorify you in everything that we do. So I just thank you for that, and I pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Next
Thank you.
episode.
Thank y'all for being here. If I holla at y'all, y'all be safe.